So the first thing that I need to say as I begin showing these Bibles that I'm going to show you in this video is they're not for sale. Because as I show some of these Bibles, I'm showing older editions. And if you're new to the Bible collecting community, you may not be aware, but there are certain Bibles that are just very much sought after. And even the one that I'm starting with here, it's one I've showed on my channel before. I've owned this for a long time. It seems like whenever I show this Bible or a Bible like it, people will ask in the comments, can I buy it? And for various reasons, this Bible and the other Bibles that are in this video are not for sale. So sorry about that, but these are Bibles that I'm choosing to hold on to. This Bible here, it's a Bible that's not in print anymore. It's a Nelson Slimline, I think is what it was called, NKJV. If you look very closely, and this is going to be important, you might be able to see there's a remnants of what was printed there. It was the insignia. It just says Nelson. Really hard to see. It may not be showing up on camera. I'm not sure. But it did say Nelson there in kind of a cursive print. But Holy Bible is still there. After all these years, that's lasted. This, I think, is an Abba bound Bible, Abba calfskin Bible cover. And you have three spine hubs that are slightly raised there. And one of the things that just makes these so unique is the leather. They're doing calfskin Bibles today. This is calfskin, but I will tell you, this is very different than the calfskin that I'm seeing today. It's very plain, actually, and it's always been kind of smooth, I would say. But boy, this leather really does feel thick. Now, one thing they're doing better nowadays is this liner here was just a synthetic material. A lot of the newer liners on Bibles are another type of a leather on the inside here, which would hold up much better. So you can see what's happened to this over the years. Now, this Bible was used a lot, and so any Bible that's used a lot is going to have wear and tear. Now, this Bible, as much as it's sought after, and I used it a lot, so obviously I think it's a great Bible. I will say that there was one thing about it that I've always felt was kind of its weakness. Even though people love this Bible so much, it's really just the format on the inside. And I do love that it's very thin, very portable. But when you get inside here, this slim line, or thin line as they're often called today, really is, it's very much consolidated. So they really took everything and they kind of squished it onto the page. So the line spacing isn't great. Now, it's printed very nicely. It was printed in Belgium. I'm sure this paper is quite nice, good quality paper for sure. So it doesn't have a lot of show through, which is good. And that does help with readability. It is typical of New King James back then. This was printed early 2000s, or 2005 is when I got this. So New King James used to often be in verse-by-verse format. But you can see here the font size on this, I think it's an 8-point, somewhere around there. And again, the line spacing very, very close together. Now, one thing I will say, it is red letter text, and the red is nice and pretty consistently dark, which for that time period wasn't always the case. I think it's definitely, red print has gotten better over the years. There is something about the cover, the type of leather, and even the paper that's just kind of unique to this time period and older Bibles that you just can't get anymore. Now, with all that being said, this is something that's really desirable, but could it be made better? Is there a way to have even something better than this, kind of like the ultimate vintage NKJV Bible? And I think I have achieved that. There is something in the Bible I'm going to show you that is a little bit of a weakness. Every Bible seems to have one. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section, though, what you think of the Bibles that I'm showing here, especially of the one I'm about to show you. I've never owned a Bible from this rebinder. I finally now have one, and it's an old NKJV text block that I showed on my channel before, and I wasn't sure if I'd ever get it rebound, but I ended up deciding to. So this is from, and a lot of you will be familiar with this rebinder, Lion and Lamb. And here it is. And I'll just tell you, no matter what I try to show you on camera here, it's nicer in person than it is on camera. Now, one thing I'm happy about is right now it seems like the lighting is really showing here pretty much the color tone of this Bible very accurately. So that's good. What it doesn't necessarily show quite as vividly in person is just how much the gold shines in contrast to that cover. It's pretty good, but I mean, it's just a really nice bright gold. It's deeply stamped into the spine. It says Holy Bible, New King James Version, and look at that. On that other Bible, this is what was originally there, this logo, Nelson. So the rebinder, Nick from Lion and Lamb, was able to get this logo, and he actually recommended that he put this logo on there. So it's really cool. Now this design that he does, it's more of the style of Allen Bibles, a lot of people will say, with just these tooled spine hubs and a rounded spine. And I think it's great. So many Bibles now have raised spine hubs, and I love that too. But it's just nice to have some variety, and this has a really classic look to it. So that's the cover, and he also put, and this is, you're seeing this a lot nowadays, my old Bible there had 2 ribbons. This one has 3, and they're angle cut. I forget the color that he called it. It's kind of a more antique gold look to it. But as I said, this is a vintage Bible. So the one complaint I had was a little bit hard to read this because the print is small and bunched together. Now you would think this Bible here can't be much larger print, but this is so interesting. The print is probably larger, and it has references in the middle. It's really amazing. How is this achieved? Well, at the end of this Bible here, you see it ends on page 863. So they did manage to get the entire Bible here in 863 pages. This Bible, on the other hand, as we get to the end here, is 1,393 pages, 1,393 pages. So it is definitely a lot more pages. But what's so interesting about this is that this one is the Slimline, and this one is just the regular size, and yet it's really not too thick. Absolutely amazing. So again, I want to remind you, I'm not selling any of these Bibles because I know some of you out there who are collectors right now are really excited about seeing this. By the way, just kind of looking again at the craftsmanship of what Nick did, you have the corners here, the beautiful, nicely, evenly done gilt line in gold around the frame of the text there. And he just really was meticulous. He's been known for a long time as being one of the top-tier rebinders. I had a top-tier text block. This is from 1985. So as I get in here, you'll see it says 1985, and it is the 3rd printing of this particular text block. This was the Nelson 446 is I think what it was called. Now, because it's an older text block, it also has some features that you wouldn't see today, and I'll show you that in a little bit. You have the preface here to the New King James Version. And you will see this in the older Bible, the older New King James Bibles, how to use this reference Bible. You'll also notice it has thumb indexes. Table of contents, Old Testament. So a 40-year-old text block as I'm recording this, because this is 2025. So 40 years, and yet this text block was just really essentially unused, not used very much. And I got this off of eBay. I showed this before, so some of you have probably seen me talk about this text block, but now it's just in a tremendous, I think, very fitting cover. I can show you a little clip of what the old cover used to look like. It had a person's name on the front, which was not as desirable to me. Although I did like the cover okay. But you can see we tried to keep actually the general look of the Bible, same similar color, a burgundy. This leather that he uses, very grainy. I think it does have a tooled line, just very subtle on the edge there. But I mean, it is very basic, you know. It's not trying to be, you know, incredibly noticeable. It's a lot like the original cover. But I will say, the quality of this, and on the inside here, he uses another leather, which again is an upgrade from how Bibles used to be done a lot of times. You just have this really, really nice leather liner on the inside, and I love his logo now is just, at least what he gave me, was just this lion and lamb stamped there, and I love that. He didn't put his logo on the outside, and what he has inside here is just, it's very simple. And I liked his logo with the outline of the lion and the lamb, but I think this just fits this Bible tremendously. So classic, so simple. Even the end sheets, you know, everything is just burgundy. So it's very much how Bibles used to be. You know, they didn't have a lot of different colors usually. But here is interesting, an interesting thing at the end here. You do have a concordance. You have Bible reading plan in here. So these are all things you might see in a lot of the Nelson Bibles. You also have God's answers to man's concerns. But this is one of the features too that I think is really interesting. And you won't see this in more recent Bibles. It's the story of the New King James. And I think I've read through this on my channel before because it's fascinating and people are interested in that. The index to the maps in the back are those old school Nelson maps. But everything in this, because again, this was a text block that wasn't used very much, even though it's 40 years old, just looks great. So you're getting to see, you know, how Bibles used to be, but it's still new. So I'm going to really try to take care of this Bible. I am going to use it, but I really want to try as much as I can try to keep it as good of condition as possible. Now, there is a weakness to this. The print in this is amazing. I would say it's really an improvement on what I had before, and yet it's a smaller Bible somehow. Just so incredible to me. You can actually see the page size there. The height of the page in the older one is close to 8.5 inches, whereas the height in this one here is only 7 3/4 inches. Really interesting. The page width is close to 5 inches, and the page width in the older one is also close to 5 inches, probably a little bit more. But I mean, it's a really similar page width, and yet the height not as big. So it's quite a portable Bible, and yet I don't like Bibles, if I'm going to use them for all different purposes, I actually prefer them to be kind of mid-size, that Goldilocks range, as I've called it before. So I keep getting distracted. The one thing that is kind of a weakness of this Bible is in the New Testament, words of Christ. And as I said with this Bible, the Slimline, the words of Christ are read, but they're done pretty consistently. For the most part, it's a nice dark print. This one is a little bit less consistent, and actually on this page, I would say it looks a little bit washed out. And that's not uncommon with red print back in older Bibles. That being said, in this lighting, I can read it fine. And it's not that bad for the most part. There are certain places where it might be worse than others, and there's certain lighting where it's not as good as other lighting. So that would be the one thing about this Bible that would just, it would take some points off. But if that red was dark, I think that it would be as perfect as a Bible could be, and I would probably have so many people begging me to sell it to them. I may still have people begging me to sell it. So that's why I started off saying I'm not selling these Bibles. This red in this part of the Bible is really good, actually. So for the most part, the red is actually just fine. But that could be improved because it's inconsistent. The poetic text in this older NKJV is a little bit smaller print than the prose, so that they could fit more words in there, because poetry actually takes up more space when you have it in stanza setting. But everything about this Bible was already really great. Now, having this rebind by Lion and Lamb, to me, he's a rebinder that I've looked at him as being iconic for a while, and so great to have his work done on a Bible that is iconic now, a text block that is iconic. So that's a look at an upgrade of, like I said, I think it's the 446 NKJV. I'll just quickly show you some other comparisons. I'll show you here another Bible that's kind of a similar format. This is a Lockman Bible, NASB 95. I think this was printed probably around 2017. Yeah, 2017 is what I think is the print year. What I wanted to show you is just, again, how phenomenal this Bible is for its print size. I would say the print is probably more readable in the NKJV than the NASB, and yet you can tell which one's larger. And you even look at how thick they are. So it's amazing to me that this older Bible here has the print that it has in it, the size of the print, with the center column references. And yet, I would say it's really more comfortable to read than even something newer like this. Although this was probably designed quite a while ago. And it's fine. I really like this Bible. But this is just really special. Years ago, I said that one New King James Version that I thought was a great all-round Bible, I considered it my best all-round Bible at one time, was this large print thin line from Holman Publishers. And so you see here Holman, and it's an NKJV, again, verse-by-verse format, center column reference. But look again at the comparison of the print size. And I think you could see the one on the left there it's not called a large print. The one on the right is called large print. And yet this one actually on the left, I'd say the print is pretty comparable. Now, large prints are better today. And as I said, red print is better today. So there are things about text blocks that have improved. And that's why when people say, oh, I wish that, I could have the Bibles like they used to make them, I would argue Bibles on the whole have made improvements. However, we are nostalgic for the old print and the old designs. So there were things about the old Bibles that were really nice, and certainly, again, have a place in our hearts if we remember them from years past. The other thing about this Holman one is it is red print for the, it is not red print for the words of Christ in this edition. And again, I think this one was printed probably similar to that NASB. This one's actually printed in China in 2018. So there were some years there where you could get Bibles like this still in print, but now everything's moved to the comfort print. I don't think Holman is even producing New King James Bibles currently. So these are getting to be hard to find. And again, I'm not selling this Bible. Sorry about that. But one reason for me to keep the Bibles, among others, is so that I can continue to show these Bibles to the public, because a lot of people do watch videos like this, and it's great to be able to compare the Bibles of the past. So this is a look at some real vintage New King James Bibles. I know a lot of you who've been watching my channel, you really like the New King James and like these old Bibles. So that's a look at a classic and an upgrade of a classic. I would love to hear in the comments section what you think about all of this, anything you'd like to add to what I've said. But thank you so much for taking a look at these Bibles with me from a fresh perspective.